So imagine working 20 to 24-hour days, just grinding it out on massive television productions. Think the Oscars, the Emmys, and feeling completely burnt out, desperate for some actual time freedom. Well, that was the reality for a guy named Kyle. He was searching everywhere for an escape route, trying dropshipping, day trading, honestly, you name it. But his life entirely changed when he texted an old friend a quick screen recording and, literally 20 minutes later, had $6,000 wired directly into his bank account. Today, in this explainer, we are dissecting the exact online business model Kyle built from that single moment to achieve ultimate time freedom. 6 years later, that business now generates roughly $104,000 every single month. And while that top-line revenue figure is absolutely staggering, it's honestly not even the most impressive part of this story. Okay, let's dive into this. Think about traditional business overhead for a second. Rent, payroll, inventory, right? Well, the overhead required to maintain just one of his individual income streams is a mere $25 a month. That's it. For his entire $100,000 operation, the total overhead is less than $5,000. So you're probably wondering, how on earth do you build a business with those kinds of margins where you only work 1 to 2 hours a day? To understand how this works, we're going to break this system down step by step. 1. The website landlord model. 2. Finding supply and demand. 3. Building and ranking assets. 4. The free trial pitch. And finally, 5. The economics of the business. All right, Section 1, the website landlord model. What exactly is it? Now, a website landlord doesn't just flip domains. Instead, think of it exactly like physical real estate, but without that $500,000 mortgage tying you down. You build a highly specific website for a certain service in a certain city, say, junk removal in Austin, Texas. You don't own a junk removal company, and you don't even have a client yet. You just build the site, do some basic search engine optimization to get it to page 1 of Google, and then you sit back and wait for the high-intent customers to start calling. Then you simply rent that flow of customer calls to a local business owner. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact mechanical flow of a single lead. A customer types their problem into Google and clicks your top-ranked site. On that site, they see a phone number. But it's actually not a direct line to a business. It's a tracking phone number, a dummy number completely controlled by you. Using a software called CallRail, the second the customer dials, the call automatically forwards directly to the cell phone of a local business owner you've partnered with. You capture the data, you get the recording, and you have undeniable proof that you just delivered a paying customer. Moving to Section 2, finding supply and demand, finding those local gaps. Because listen, you can't just pick any random city and any random service. This entire model relies entirely on finding inefficient, low-competition local markets where supply and demand are out of balance. You aren't going after hyper-competitive keywords like personal injury lawyer in Los Angeles, where firms are spending $50,000 a month just on marketing. No way. You are looking at the thousands of blue-collar, unglamorous home services across thousands of mid-sized cities. Things like junk removal, auto glass repair, epoxy flooring, and spray foam insulation. There are people out there quietly making $50,000 to $90,000 a month focusing on just one of these niches. There are even massively untapped markets like pet cremation, where search volume is surprisingly high and digital competition is almost non-existent. Section 3, building and ranking assets. Constructing the asset. Once you find that perfect low-competition gap, how do you actually construct the asset? You might think you need to be a master coder, but the execution is surprisingly straightforward. Now, what's really interesting here is just how basic this tech stack is. If you're a total beginner, you can literally use a drag-and-drop builder like Weebly, or eventually graduate to WordPress for lower costs. CallRail handles all the call tracking and forwarding, and for figuring out which cities and niches to target, you just use standard SEO research tools like Mangools or Ahrefs. That is the entire technological foundation of a $100,000 a month empire. And getting that site to the top of Google, well, it follows a strict 80-20 rule. 80% of your local SEO success really just comes down to having good content and getting quality backlinks pointing to your site. The other 20% is just having proper headings and local directory citations. Remember, you aren't fighting the Google algorithm against billion-dollar tech giants here. You are literally competing against local guys whose websites probably haven't been updated since 2005. In fact, if you look at a highly profitable auto glass repair site in New Orleans built using this exact model, this quote perfectly summarizes it. The site is basic, it's ugly, but I think it's beautiful. Because you know what? It works. And why does it work? Because a user stuck on the side of the road looking for a tow truck or auto glass repair absolutely doesn't care if a site is pretty. They just want speed and clarity. The site's only job is to aggressively communicate to Google exactly what the service is and where it is, and then get that customer to make a phone call. Which brings us to section 4, the free trial pitch, closing the deal. So you've built the site, you've ranked it, and your tracking number is getting, say, 50 calls a month. Now comes the human element, the psychology of the sale. How do you convince a local business owner to actually pay you for these leads? You absolutely don't use a slick corporate sales pitch. You call them up, totally casual, almost like you're the one who needs a favor. You use a script just like this. Hey man, I got this website that is getting like 50 calls a month. Do you think I could send them to you for like a week? You literally offer to route the calls to their phone for free. No credit card, no contract, no strings attached. You just need an email and a phone number. Look at how powerfully this flips the traditional marketing script. Standard digital marketing agencies call up these small businesses, who might only have $1,500 in the bank to risk, by the way, and beg them to sign a 6-month contract with zero guarantee of results. It requires a massive leap of trust. But the website landlord approach? You do the hard work first. You become an instant slot machine for them. You bring them actual paying jobs for free. By the end of the week, the only conversation you're having isn't, will you pay me? It's, how much is this flat monthly fee going to be? Section 5, Economics of the Business, Macro-Level Operations. So the crucial point is choosing exactly how you charge that client. Now, it is very tempting to charge per lead, squeezing every single dollar out of the value you provide. But pay-per-lead requires constant auditing. Clients will argue over whether a lead was actually qualified, your invoices will fluctuate wildly, and it just creates massive billing friction. By optimizing for simplicity with a flat monthly fee, you give the business owner predictable overhead, and you give yourself a system that is 99% passive. They pay their rent, and you never have to touch the website or debate an invoice again. Let's zoom out and see how this builds at scale. Over 6 years, this specific system scaled to over 100 active clients. And because of that flat fee structure and low competition SEO, the maintenance phase genuinely only requires 1 to 2 hours of work a day. The absolute hardest part of the job just becomes sending a few texts at the end of the month to follow up on declined credit cards. And because the service is so vital and profitable for the local businesses, client retention is incredibly sticky. We're talking often 5 years or more without you even needing to speak to them. Ultimately, this whole model completely challenges the modern hustle culture narrative. So many entrepreneurs just burn themselves out aiming for a highly improbable billion-dollar venture capital exit. But this explainer proves that true time freedom, the ability to spend hours planting fruit trees with your kids or traveling 5 times a year, comes from optimizing for a highly probable, deeply passive lifestyle business. By delivering undeniable upfront value to local businesses and keeping operations ridiculously simple, you can achieve extraordinary financial independence. So what kind of business are you optimizing for?